Don't look now, but the Nashville Predators have won back-to-back games for only the second time this season. We will talk about the two things that played into Nashville's 2-1 win over the Minnesota Wild, our one word to describe the game, and are the Predators back? Let's talk about it today on the Locked On Predators podcast.
Your Locked On Predators, your daily podcast on the Nashville Predators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On Predators your first listen of the day. Every single day, we are your free Nashville Predators podcast. That's available to you on all podcast platforms and on YouTube. I'm Nick Morgan. I'm a writer and editor at ontheforecheck.com, and I have a partner in crime.
You do. I am Ann Kimmel. I'm a writer and editor at InsideThePreds.com.
The Preds won!
The Preds won!
The second time in a row. Apparently, all they needed was to not be in the western half of North America anymore. Yeah, Nashville Predators get the 2-1 win over Minnesota Wild. Predators scored twice in the first period, once by Niederreiter, less than a minute later by Matt Duchene, a Freddie Gaudreau goal in the third period. Made people a little bit timid, maybe look like the Wild were pushing a little bit, but Juuse Saros closed the door to get the 2-1 win. And
yes,
what's the one word to describe last night's game?
Last night's game was so terrific. That's not my one word. I'm just building up to my one word. Got to be at Bridgestone Arena. Bridgestone Arena was crazy for a Tuesday night. We were crazy. My one word, I am going to throw back to when we were in Latvia in the capital city of Riga. And my one word is St. Peter's Church. So when you are in Riga, there is an old church, as in Europe, all things are old. There's an old church called St. Peter's Church, and you can climb these stairs all the way to the top of St. Peter's Church. And you can look out over the city of Riga, and it is this 360 panoramic view of the city of Riga. And for me, last night's game gave this panoramic step back 365 view of what the Predators could be. Now, am I saying, don't even come at me, people, am I saying the Nashville Predators are going to win from here on through April every single game? Not promising that. So everybody just, keep your pessimist, in check. But I really feel like this game finally gave Nashville Predators fans an opportunity to get a whole picture of what this team can be and how this team can compete and how you can combine the talents in a certain way for them to be more successful. Now, can't always see beyond the horizon, even when you're at the top of St. Peter's Church. So again, I'm not saying, look, here we come for the Stanley Cup already. But I am saying that this game against Minnesota really was a great picture of when the pieces are put together and when things are firing well, when this team is executing well, what we have from the Nashville Predators.
Yeah. My one word, Ann, is snake handling. And I'm not talking about like the snake handling preachers.
Okay.
out in the backwoods of Kentucky or anything like that. Mine is like, have you ever seen like those TikToks of like, there's like villages in Southeast Asia where it's just like, a group of people are playing with like a king cobra or something like that. And they'll put like, their hand in, the cobra will like try to strike, and they'll have to like pull it away before it strikes. And, they're just like playing with its tail and stuff like that. First off, this sounds like a nightmare, but I'm going.
This is so horrible.
So you like watch this on TikTok, and it's like I'm gonna watch like somebody's death here, It's like, they're playing with it. They're like, it's like, oh, they got away just in time before it strike. And, oh, it's like, good that. And then, like, think about this. Like, if you can survive doing all that and you don't get bit by the snake, even though there's a lot of times you're like, you probably should have gotten bit by the snake, you kind of look like a badass. You look crazy, but you kind of look like a badass. That, to me, looked like the Nashville Predators in last night's game, because there were so many times that I was like, you're kind of playing with fire here.
Mm-hmm.
You're kind of playing with a king cobra.
Yes.
5 penalties or 5, opportunities to put Minnesota on the power play. One of those was a double minor on a
yes, it was
on just a sloppy play by Ryan Johansen. There's that. There was a lot of second chance opportunities around Juuse Saros, which we said yesterday was a key to the game towards winning, was to not do that.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't quite do that. But there's all these opportunities to get bit. All these times the Preds were just playing with that big snake. That sounded wrong, but okay. But
we're with the analogy. Hang with the analogy.
They were with the king cobra,
mm-hmm.
and they were, playing with the king cobra. Still not 100% right. Look, they almost got bit by a snake.
Right.
They almost got bit by a snake that they were just tossing up in the air, playing with, being like, oh, you're going to bite me. No, you're not. They were doing that so many times during the game last night, with all of the second chance opportunities, all of the times they couldn't clear the puck in front of Saros, all of these shorthanded chances, and yet somehow they walked away without needing some antivenom.
Mm-hmm. They did. They did. And you know what? This was a game I was really nervous for. And there was a part of me that's like, I'm not sure I even want to go, because I don't want to watch what could happen. I'm not sure I want to see it with my bare eyes. I don't know that I want to see it live. But Nashville played a really good game against a team that I know Minnesota has come into this, and they have definitely had their ups and downs. They're still kind of trying to navigate, where they're going. But Minnesota's a team that has a lot of potential. They have a lot of weapons. And Marc-Andre Fleury, first of all, full disclosure, I cannot stand being at a game where I have to say you suck to Marc-Andre Fleury and chant it's all your fault, because I love Marc-Andre Fleury. So I just want to make this public apology to Marc-Andre Fleury that I don't think that you suck. And I know it's not all your fault. And I know I said it twice. But you're so, he's lovely. So forgive me for that. But he played a great game. You have Kaprizov on the ice. You give them power play opportunities. You give them 4 minutes at the end of the first period of power play opportunity. And all I could do was say to my friend, they have a 24% power play. They have a 24% power play. This is going to be bad. This is going to be so bad. This is going to be so bad. This is not ideal. Yeah. And the Predators were able to keep them from scoring on a power play goal, which was huge in a 2-1 game. Yeah. And they were able to get some things past Marc-Andre Fleury. So it was more than tolerable to see live. But again, sorry, Marc-Andre Fleury.
And I'm going to break down the penalty kill in just a second, because I thought that was a big part of the game. But I'll ask you the same question, Anne, that I think I asked you after that Rangers game. So the Preds are up 2-0. 30 seconds into the third period, Freddie Gaudreau, bless his heart,
yes,
scores to put the Wild, get the Wild within 2-1.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, were you like, okay, here we go, the dam's about to break?
There, you know what? I'm not gonna lie. I had a moment of like, oh no. But I will say this: I felt confident in what I had seen the first 2 periods. I think the second period, the Predators didn't generate enough offensive chances. They kind of tended to let Minnesota drive play a little bit more in that second period. But I felt really good about how the Predators looked. Like, I didn't feel like the Predators had given up a lot of egregious, turnovers and sloppy, through the neutral zone. So I felt like, okay,
a little bit. They did so a little bit,
but not at all compared to how they have been playing. Like, I really felt like the Predators, I'm like, okay, the Predators are executing better. The Predators are paying attention to the little things that have absolutely steamrolled them in other games. So while I was like, oh crap, I still was like, maybe. And then, there were some penalties in the third period, and I'm like, just shoot me next time, Nashville. Just put me out of my misery. Don't make me sit through another penalty kill. The penalty kill looked great. Yep. So, I had, again, total optimist.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is this moment of like, oh, wow, 30 seconds in. Great. We should give them 19 minutes and 30 seconds to tie this game up or come back and win it. But the Predators, I feel like, really were executing pretty well in this game. So I still had hope.
Yeah, for the most part, they did. There was a couple of bad moments. I want to talk about the penalty kill. What has made them so good over the course of this season, and a couple of players that deserve some kudos, I think, for that. I do want to take a second and say today's show is brought to you by Built Bar. All right, let's take a second. Are you guys listening? We need to talk about Built Bar's brand new reimagined flavors: cookie dough topper, coconut brownie bar, and coconut brownie topper, and white chocolate peppermint granola. With white chocolate peppermint granola, it's Built's take on the granola bar, so it's more filling and still insanely tasty. Candy cane brownie puff? Built Puffs are like biting into the universe's most delicious clouds. First off, if you guys haven't tried Built Bars before, literally the best tasting protein bars ever built. Ann and I, and especially Ann's children, will vouch for that. They're revolutionizing nutrition as we know it, with 100% real chocolate, 17 grams of protein, and shockingly low sugar and calories, just 130 calories. So sink your teeth into that, take a second, and commit, because it's going to change your life forever. Not kidding. There's going to be a time before you try these new Built flavors and you're wondering how you're ever going to have lived the magical, wonderful time afterwards. You're probably wondering which new flavor is my favorite. An unanswerable question to Elise, because it seems like it changes all the time. I love the Cougar Tail Puffs, one of my new favorites. I'm also a big Cherry Barcia or Mint Brownie guy. And Anna and I were just talking about this the other day. The granola bars, especially the peanut butter chocolate one, personal favorite. I cannot wait to try the candy cane one, because that sounds awesome. They're all unbelievable, whichever your preference and flavor is, and they're all different. So you can order a mixed box and try 5 flavors for yourself. You got to try it. Get 15% off your order right now by using the code LOCKEDON15 at Built.com. Again, code LOCKEDON15 at Built.com. All right, Ann, feel like we need to sing some praises of the Nashville Predators penalty kill, because it is absolutely cooking this season. And I mean cooking in the kitchen. 83.3% on the season. That's the 6th best penalty kill in the NHL. They killed all 5 last night. As we mentioned, one of them was a 4-minute power play late in the game, which that had danger written all over it. And the Preds did very well. It's just, you watching, it's just, this is such a well-structured group, no matter what's in there. And it's structured well because there seems to be different players, kind of in that PK unit every game. We saw Michael McCarron. He was a healthy scratch last night. We talked about him making a couple of big plays on that PK down the stretch. Mark Jankowski comes in and plays more of a penalty killing role with McCarron out, and he played fundamental. Mark Jankowski, number one, that's a guy who every time I see him play, the more I keep thinking, this guy is earning his spot. He has been fire this season in whatever the Preds have asked for him. You look at Matthias Ekholm, like that little like 1980s jazzercise music video move where he's on his side and he does like the side leg lift to kick the puck out of the air.
Yes.
What would have been a pretty good cross like, cross ice pass. There's just a lot of well-structured opportunities. It is a good mix, and to me, of sound play, like not giving up your structure. Looks like a lot of teams have trouble getting the puck into, really dangerous areas, but also aggressiveness. And we saw a play last night. The Preds were kind of structured. This is, I think, on the 4-minute power play for Minnesota. They were very structural. They not giving it any opportunity. The puck came out to the point, and all of a sudden you just see Mark Jankowski like charge out and cut off the angle. They had to do you can tell they were teeing up for like a shot from the corner or something like that. But instead, the guy had to just kind of throw it, around the boards. That kind of killed some time, reset. And that's just perfect. It's like, on this sound play, you don't give up ranks, you don't break formation. And then all of a sudden, when you see your chance, go ahead and be aggressive. And I love that. I love that play. We talk about the identity from John Hynes, where it's like he wants his team to play aggressive, but right on that edge. This was an example of being right on that edge. You were aggressive, you pushed the play, but you weren't reckless.
It's that smart, not safe that John Hynes said in training camp. Like, you need to play smart, not safe. And you're seeing that on this penalty kill. And look, Minnesota, 24% on the power play. This is a team, especially with Kaprizov, you put him on the wing and they execute a lot of power play goals with a really quick cross ice pass to Kaprizov, who puts it in the net. I think he has 5 power play goals. Of his 10 goals, 5 are on the man advantage. So this is a team with a huge threat when they're on the man advantage. And Nashville, again, I love what you say, because they really are a good balance on the penalty kill of playing aggressive. Like, they challenge the entry in. And I think that there have been times where we have seen the penalty kill be a little more hesitant to challenge the entry. They're like, okay, well, you can come in and you can set up, but then we're really going to shut it down. And I think they have done a really good job being more aggressive. 2 players that I love seeing on the penalty kill are Yakov Trenin and Tanner Jeannot. Yakov Trenin is so delightful to me on the penalty kill because he reminds me of like a tween boy picking on his brother, because he doesn't do enough to draw a penalty. He doesn't do enough to overcommit and to do something foolish. But he also will harass, and he will just kind of get in their way and just, I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you. That kind of annoying pester that kind of slows things down and kind of ties things up. I really love what we're seeing from the penalty kill. And I feel like on the penalty kill, the Predators shut down things like those cross ice passes that we have seen the Predators get burned on earlier in the season. So you're seeing a much improved penalty kill as we go on. I mean, not granted, they gave up a lot of chances early, but it is really shutting down a lot of opportunities. And, Juuse Saros said after the game, he was the star, the number 1 star of the game. And he was saying on, those penalty kills, how important it was to have such good defense in front of him, because it made it so much easier for him to track the puck. They shut down that cross ice stuff, like you said, they kind of sprawled out and, blocked passes and blocked shots and shut down. We're
calling that the jazzercise.
Yes, they did the jazzercise.
Like, I feel like, you take off the uniform and TSA Holmes got like the pink leg warmers, the card.
Yes,
I feel like he's doing that.
Yes.
When like Ida's like at the store or something like that, and he's just like, people are gonna laugh, but you know what? This is gonna come in handy in one of these games.
That's right. That's a football player taking ballet, only it's a hockey player doing jazzercise. Take it home, Matthias Ekholm.
Yeah, same, but different.
But yeah, the penalty kill has been huge for Nashville. Well executed last night, because I'm telling you, every time we headed to the penalty box, I said to my friend, we are in trouble. This is not ideal.
Yep. And, you probably want to clean up some of that mess. Again, like we talked about the Wild having 5 power play opportunities. A couple of those penalties were pretty reckless penalties. The Jeremy Lauzon one is one that for sure stands out in that regard. But, that's something you're going to have to clean up as you go on. The Ryan Johansen double minor, it was just like, you felt like what he was trying to do, but at the same time, it's like, oh, like what's the point, buddy? Like the whole going for a lift stick of a guy who wasn't even like close to getting the puck, like what was that about?
Yeah.
So there's just a couple of those things that I think the Predators really need to clean up, and it feels like the real star of the game. We talked about him in the passing. But we got to talk about Juuse Saros, right? Because this is his second really dominant performance of the game, and it begs the question, is he back?
I know. We are going to dig into Juuse Saros' performance and a couple of other players we want to give a shout out to in just a minute. But first, I want to thank you for making Locked On Predators your first listen today. For your second listen today, go check out Locked On Sports today. From the games that matter the most to the biggest stories in sports, you can go beyond the scoreboard and behind the scenes with local experts and insights that only Locked On can provide. Locked On Sports today is available on this app. It's available on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts.
All right, Ann, let's sing the praises of one Mr. Juuse. I don't know his middle name.
Insert Finnish middle name. Or they may not have middle names. A lot of European countries don't do middle names.
Juuse Saros. This is his second really solid, dominant performance in as many games. The second time he's only allowed 1 goal. He has stopped... let's try to do this math, Nick. 78? No, that's not right.
It's early, y'all.
68 of his last 70 shots, which that's pretty promising.
Big.
Yep. And this is the second time in a row. Even dating back, you take that Seattle thing out of the equation, and you talk about that Vancouver game where he gave up 3 goals early, but rebounded to make like what I think it wound up being 38 consecutive saves late in the game. I mean, it seems like we talk about Juuse Saros in a slow start, and we've certainly seen some oopsies from him this season. Yes. But it seems like over the past week, again, like without the Seattle game, you look at it as a trend and you start to think it's like, okay, this is the Juuse Saros I remember from last season, the Vezina nominee, where it just seemed like no matter how porous or how many chances the Preds gave up, it just seemed like he was going to be there. You could count on him being there to close the door and keep the Predators in the game. And it seems like that's what he's been doing the past couple of games. So that begs the question, Ann, is Juuse Saros, is he back? Is that cold streak to start the season officially over? Can we count on vintage Juuse again?
I mean, I'm going to say yes, just because I want it to be true. But I do think, and John Hynes said this after the Rangers game, and I think that it held true as well against Minnesota, is that he has a different posture these last couple of games in the net. Like, he just looks more confident in the net. He looks a little more calm in his movements. He looks, you can watch him and see that he's kind of in the vintage Saros of last season zone. Whereas earlier in the season where he was kind of giving up some goals where you're like, really? You're going to let that one by? A
lot of goals we're not used to seeing him give up.
A lot of goals that we weren't used to seeing him get up. And also he was not getting the defensive support early in this season. The defense was not necessarily helping him out, especially on the whole team, on things like defensive zone turnovers that, turned into, hey, I'm a guy standing in the slot and the puck is on my tape in front of Juuse Saros, So the team as a whole are eliminating moments, but I do think that you can see that Saros these past 2 games has kind of settled in. And last night, it really did look like vintage Saros. Now, there weren't necessarily a lot of, I don't feel like the Predators gave up as many of those oopsie chances that really put Saros under pressure in the game last night, which was really good to see. But yeah, I feel like, even in some really crazy net front scrambles, Saros was dialed in on that puck. I mean, and there were limbs a-flying and bodies everywhere and people kicking and all that. And, I really do feel like Saros is sort of settled in and dialed in more. So let's just claim it. Let's just put it in the universe. Juuse Saros is back, my friends.
Yeah, please no one bookmark this. He gives up like 6 goals against the Islanders tomorrow.
No.
Please
don't even say it.
Let's not put that into the universe. But yeah, look, the Preds are the team they are. They have some things they need to clean up.
Mm-hmm.
But we mentioned this last year. Juuse Saros is the team's eraser. He can take a game which the Predators probably should lose. If you look at the analytics last night, a lot of the analytics favor the Wild, and here comes Juuse Saros to kind of erase some of that. That's something the Preds didn't have earlier in the season. Some bad goals given up by Saros in some winnable games.
Mm-hmm.
That's big because at this stage, every point matters. I know there's some people listening that are going to be like, well, damn, we won a game. When we're going to talk about that later this week, trust me.
Oh, we are.
Some of these, crap hard for Bedard takes that are going around the Preds universe. Yeah. That's a topic of conversation for a later show. But, you got to be happy with the way Juuse Saros played. If nothing else, just because that's something good right around the corner. You now have confidence that the Predators can pull out some of these tougher games later in the week. Hey, remember, Saturday, they have Tampa Bay Lightning. The day after Thanksgiving, they have the Colorado Avalanche again. And if Juuse Saros is playing the way he played last night, all of a sudden you have more confidence in this game. And it's like, okay, we can survive some of these bigger teams and still get 2 points out of it. And that, to me, is the confidence. And we mentioned there's a couple other players that we want to shout out. Who's somebody that you want to highlight as having a pretty good game last night?
2 players. In fact, one, of course, brings me great delight, especially in my marriage. And that is, I want to give a shout out to Matt Duchene. Matt Duchene scored his 700th and 701st point last night in the game. And he scored a power play goal. Hallelujah, it can happen. And it was a great spot that he shot from. It was not one of those pass around the perimeter, merry-go-round kind of power plays. So want to give a shout out to Matt Duchene. I am loving Duchene on the line with Nino Niederreiter and Ryan Johansen. I am really liking that combination because Ryan Johansen is the other guy I want to shout out. Ryan Johansen and his, as he says, giant orangutan arms had 2 assists last night to set up these goals. And the one primary assists and the one on Nino Niederreiter, the first goal of the game, was literally incredible. The puck was way out ahead of him, kind of out of control, and he one-handed reached out, swung that stick, and somehow got the pass across ice to Niederreiter to put it in the net. Absolutely incredible game last night from Ryan Johansen, minus the whole double minor thing.
Yeah, I agree. You need those 2 to make plays. I still think, and I'll die on this hill, I think Ryan Johansen, one of the more underrated players on the Predators.
Fact.
That's a hill I will die on. I think when Predators fans got him, they were thinking oh, he's going to be the 90 to 100 point center the Predators have lacked for. And he hasn't been that, but I don't think you can overlook what else he does. I think he's in this modern NHL, kind of a perfect number 2 center in that he has the skill to set up other players. He's got, we talked about the long orangutan arms to break.
Those are his words. His words.
He's pretty good on defense as well.
Mm-hmm.
Probably one of the Predators' best face-off guys. You know, you always
incredible.
Either him or Sissons being the guys that take the key face-offs late in the game. I mean, he's just perfect, like for like a top 6 center. He was perfect playing, you know, kind of behind Granlund last year, playing behind Parssinen yesterday, which, you know, Parssinen had another solid game, but, you know,
yes.
Unlike the first time, you know, you could see a couple of things like, you'll need to fix that, which is fine. But yeah, I do think Ryan Johansen is somebody that I think maybe one of the more underrated guys on the Predators. I think just because of the contract and maybe not becoming what Predators fans expected him to. He gets a lot of vitriol in the Preds universe sometimes. But, you know, games last night, you know, you can point to and be like, this is a guy who's doing a lot of different things very well for the Nashville Predators. Just needs to, you know, not whack a guy in the face away from the play.
Well, in his defense, the guy might have needed it because last night's game was so chippy. Now, of course, Central Division rival, but oh my goodness, y'all.
Yeah.
Like there was snark to be had up and down the ice. And even after the final buzzer, like Predators won and there's a big brawl and we're like, no, y'all just exit stage left, baby. It's over. Like, you don't look tough. You look like a sore loser.
Can we start with the video that the Wild put out before the game? The Connor DeWar changing the, what was it? It was like the marquee when they come in, and one, it was like Tame the Wild, and it felt like DeWar. The video just wounds in like taking off the Tame, and it just said the Wild. But the lead up before that, this was like 48 seconds of, you could tell he was trying to think of something clever. He was like, let's rearrange this, like Bart Simpson on the Springfield First like United Church marquee.
Yes.
And then just settling with, you know what? You know what would be really clever? The same thing minus just the first word. Yeah.
Yeah, he's the guy that goes in the Christmas section at Hobby Lobby and takes the monogram stockings to spell out fart.
Yeah.
Like that's where we were.
Yeah. It's just
don't
like
touch our thing.
It's just a weird thing. Like,
yeah,
you know,
just don't touch our stuff.
Yeah. It's like, you're going to see, like, the Preds need to hire Todd Bertuzzi to be, like, the locker room enforcer, because he did an excellent job of that at Bridgestone Arena about 10 years ago. So maybe we need to get him back on the payroll just to, you know, take the marquee down.
Yes.
Whenever anybody tries to mess with it.
So, come on. I mean, and, you know, all in good fun or whatever. But, yeah, it was literally like, okay, I don't feel like he just couldn't come up with it. Like, it was so funny. And then I'm like, he's going to put the E on the end of Wild and be like, oh, look at Shakespearean now.
He's a big Olivia fan.
Yes. Yeah, bless. But big win for the Nashville Predators. This was a big win for the Predators.
Yeah, and they're going to need a couple more. They got the New York Islanders tomorrow night, which, as you know, we mentioned yesterday, other than the New Jersey Devils, the Islanders might be the biggest exceeding expectations surprise of the season in the entire NHL. And then you got the Tampa Bay Lightning on Saturday, which, you know, the Lightning have struggled at times this season, but they're still the Tampa Bay Lightning, and they have still won, I believe it is now 7 of the last 9 games against the Nashville Predators. So that is something the Preds hope to buck the trend. And as we mentioned, next week, Thanksgiving week, the big one is coming the day after Thanksgiving against the Colorado Avalanche at home. That is another big test, and we're going to see how Smashville responds to that. Anne, where can people read your work?
You can find my work at InsideThePreds.com, and you can find me on Twitter at AnnK_Mama on Ice.
You can find me at ontheforecheck.com as well, and on underscore NS Morgan on Twitter. It's early, y'all.
It is early,
also,
y'all.
if you're interested in reading about the Red Wings, this week I recently joined Winging It in Motown.com, so you can see some of my work there as well. For the rest of you Preds fans, You can find us on any podcast platform out there, Spotify, Amazon, Apple, all that good stuff. If you find us, hit subscribe and drop a rating if you like us. Give us a 5-star review to help other fans find this faster. And if you're watching this on YouTube, be sure to like our video, subscribe, and hit the bell notification so you'll always know when we got fresh content out for you. That's going to do it for us on today's Locked On Predators podcast. Thank you for making us your first listen of the day. As always, we'll be back tomorrow with a preview of Predators versus Islanders. We'll see you then.